in good times, in bad times, for better, for worse. Yeah, it's that worst part that a lot of us are having trouble with. So anytime you take those marriage vows and that worst part comes up, because you're actually at the altar at the time that you're hearing this, you're not necessarily thinking about the worst times that will absolutely show up in your relationship, absolutely show up in your marriage. You're not thinking about those worst times. And so I wanted to come here and talk to you guys about the worst times, because a lot of times we struggle through the worst times. We know that we hear the vows, but we're like, am I actually alone in this thing? Am I going to be on this emotional roller coaster forever? Am I going to be on this physical roller coaster forever? Am I going to be on this spiritual warfare roller coaster forever? So how long am I going to be on this roller coaster? How long am I going to stay in this marriage? How long am I going to be suffering? How long is this worse going to be? And so that's what I want to come to you and talk to you about today. So for those of you who are finding my channel for the very first time, my name is MarshaunO. I am your life and relationship strategist. And today I want to talk to you about how to deal with the worst in your relationship or in your marriage specifically. So one of the ways to deal with the worst in your relationship is to remember that you guys are teammates. Yes, remember that you guys are teammates, that you're not fighting against one another. You guys are on the same team most of the time. And if you have not discussed what I'm about to talk about, which are your goals, if you have not talked about your relationship goals, then you guys need to sit down and start to discuss what your relationship goals are, just so you can make sure that you guys are on the same team at the same time, turning the same page within the same book. But you guys are teammates. You guys are in this relationship together. You guys decided to say I do to one another. You're on the same team. Once you become married, the two shall become one. So that is the portion. That's the portion where you guys are working on becoming that one. And it could be during some of the worst times, specifically when you guys are new in the marriage. There is an adjustment period that goes along. Even if you guys were living together prior to you saying I do, there is still an adjustment period that comes along with the ring, that comes along with the signing on the dotted line, that comes along with the now I really am all the way in, because now I said I do. And yes, I had responsibilities before, but for real, I for real got responsibilities. I got a family. And so y'all trying to become the teammate to one another. In some cases, some people might put it as, that's my best friend. It took them, in most cases, it took the team a while to become each other's best friend. Unless you were already doing it prior to you getting married. But in most cases, when you're new at getting married, it takes a while to build the team and the teammate. It takes a while to build your best friend. So just remember that you guys are teammates when you're in the relationship with one another. Also, a way to deal with the worst in your relationship is to cultivate intimacy. Cultivating intimacy could be laughter. It could be reminiscing about all of the wonderful memories and all of the good times that you have together and that you have created together. Creating intimacy could be praying together. Creating intimacy could be going to take a walk together. Creating intimacy literally could just be sitting on the couch holding hands. And of course, cuddling, of course, sex, all of those other things. But really, intimacy begins outside of the bedroom. So as much as intimacy does happen in the bedroom, hopefully, intimacy really starts outside of the bedroom. And specifically for women, intimacy starts up here. We need for you guys to joggle our minds. Yes. Cultivate intimacy within your relationship, even during the tough times. I was actually talking to a client of mine the other day, and she was basically saying how her relationship is really good. And one of the ways that her marriage became so good is because that anytime that they would have an argument, her spouse would actually walk away. Her husband would walk away, and she would not allow him to stay away, meaning stay away and be mad at her. So she would follow him, and I know that this sounds kind of stalkerish, but I liked what she had to say, because when she would follow him, she would not like make a big scene or start yelling at him, cussing at him and all that stuff. What she was doing was like, hey babe, you can't be mad. Like, how are we going to actually get through this? What can I do better next time so we don't go through this again? And then when they would sit there and talk, she would make sure that she made some bodily contact. Specifically, she said in her instance, she would always hold his hand and then discuss what they needed to, or what she needed to work on better for next time, so they wouldn't be in this same situation. And she said it took a while for them to get on one accord to create that and cultivate that, but now it is an essential portion of their relationship. Anytime either one of them now starts to try to walk away, the other just holds the hand. You can't walk away. Like, let's actually discuss this thing. And that really does bring down the simmer, brings down the tempers, it brings down the yelling. It makes everything cool once again. That is another way to deal with the worst in your relationship. Another thing that you could do is actually just take it day by day, because so many of us are rushing to have these beautiful, blissful relationships out here. And I get it. I'm on the same page. I'm rushing to get my own beautiful, blissful relationship, but we have to learn how to slow it down and take it one day at a time, especially when you're going through a difficult time within your relationship, specifically within your marriage. Anytime you are going through a difficult time, take the time to just chill out. Take it one day at a time. Don't start being all up in here. Well, what does this mean? Does this mean we're about to get a divorce? Does this mean that he about to leave for a couple of days, or should I leave for a couple of days? Don't do all of that, because that does not help the situation. And anytime you actually do leave your spouse, both of you start to think about the worst about the situation as well as your partner. So as much as possible, you can cut those periods of the worst, the difficult times down to a minimum. That is going to make your relationship so much better. And as time goes on, you guys will be able to cut those arguments, cut those disagreements down completely, like where they almost never even happen, because now you have an understanding of who you actually in a relationship with, who you're speaking with, and how they actually maneuver. The things that they say, you'll be able to decipher, okay, oh, all right, she was just playing right there. Oh, okay, I know she ain't mean nothing about that, by that, or even him, he didn't mean nothing by that. Okay, cool. You guys will be able to be like, nope, that was not that serious. I can move on with life, right? So the third thing is to take it one day at a time. The fourth thing is, remember that your marriage is a covenant of unconditional love between God, husband, and wife. Marriage is a covenant. It's not a contract. I know we talk about a contract, but the contract does not talk about unconditional love. A covenant does talk about unconditional love, specifically between God, husband, and wife. So it's a difference. That is a way to deal with the worst in your relationship. Remember why you married this person. Remember why you're there. Remember the happy times, right? Remember that cultivating the intimacy. Laughter can actually cut down on so many things that you were thinking. It can break the doggone ice. It can tear down those walls that you were having between one another. And then once the walls are actually broken down, then you can actually have a healthy conversation with your spouse. Once again, it'll open back up the channel for you guys to communicate with one another. So let me jump back to point number 4, which is, remember that marriage is a covenant of unconditional love no matter what. Okay? I know sometimes it's hard when you're in a situation to remember that your vows are a covenant, but they are. They are. The last thing that I want to bring up is to make sure that you are accepting the responsibility for the problems, i.e. issues, the very difficult situation that you are actually in, the worst, as well as the solutions to that issue, to that problem. So as long as you learn that you must take responsibility and accept responsibility for the things that are going wrong in your relationship, guess what? You can also, you are the issue. Maybe your spouse is the issue, but usually both of y'all have been the issue. No matter who started it, it usually goes downhill because both of you start going back and forth, and then it all goes all wrong, right? So take responsibility, accept responsibility for the part that you played in the issue, the part that you played in becoming the problem within that specific issue. And just remember that you are the problem. Maybe you were the cause of the problem, but guess what? You also are the solution. You are the only solution. And try your best not to go outside of the relationship so much, because literally the only two people that can solve your issue is each other. You're the problem. You're also the solution. You're the problem, but you're also the solution. So we have to take away our pride, take away that ego, get back to loving and talking to the very person that you said I do to, that you decided to live out this life with, that you decided to build a lovely relationship with, that you decided to create a healthy romantic relationship with, that you decided to say, you know what, I am going to do better. I'm going to do better for me. I'm going to do better for him or for her. If you're a guy, I'm going to do better for the family. I'm going to do better because it is a must. And I am choosing to do better. Yes, we are going through a worse, for better or worse, we're going through the worst right now. But it can get better, and it will get better. I have to stay the course, and then I have to think about what the solutions are. And so whenever you going through the worst with your spouse, with your partner, don't stick with the worst. Don't stick with the difficult issue. Think about how you can solve this very thing so you don't have to keep having the same conversation over and over again. And that's exactly what I was telling you guys when I used that example earlier. What my client was saying, she holds her husband's hand. Well, now they both do it. But in the beginning, she was walking with him. She wouldn't let him just go away and let that seep into his soul and make her into the villain while he's away. And she does the same thing. She was like, no, we got to get this thing together. Like, let's sit down and actually talk about it. And I know that doesn't work for everybody. Maybe you do need to take some time away and then come back. That's fine too. But the point that I'm trying to make is make sure that you do not let this problem fester. Do not let the worst fester. Sit down. Write down how you can solve said issue, and then take your solutions back to your partner, and then y'all discuss what happened, discuss why it went downhill, and then also discuss the solution. So the next time it happens, you have your solution already in order, and somebody will remember what the solution is, and they'll be able to say, you know what? This is what's actually happening. This happened last time. Don't you remember, baby? And we said that we was going to do X, Y, and Z. Now, that does take practice. You have to cultivate these things. You have to remember, especially when you're in that moment. Because once you guys come out of the moment and you've discussed it, now you're actually cool. You're cool, calm, and collected, right? And then the next time it comes up, you're not cool, calm, and collected anymore. And then when you're in the heat of the moment, a lot of times you forget what you actually said that you were going to do. But one party usually remembers, and that party is the party that needs to bring up said solution that was discussed prior to. All right? So I hope that these have helped you out. Again, I'm MarshaunO. Thanks for coming and listen. And I will talk to you guys very, very soon. I'm getting tongue-tied today. All right?